Namaste, Shalabais. It's getting fun. I have no viewers, so I can just rant on about any topic that I feel like. So today's topic will be about free will. Yeah, and as we've been doing before, we've been doing some meditations, getting subtle. We've been doing some meditations to observe the thoughts. And these meditation come in handy when we want to start using them to something more useful than just getting a little bit of a calmer mind. So the more you meditate, the more subtle you will become, and the better you will be at observing thoughts and de-identifying from thoughts. And you will also be better and better at seeing how thoughts build on each other. So you start seeing more that one thought leads to another thought that leads to another thought. There's a beautiful exercise for exploring whether we have free will or not. And it goes like this. You sit down with your favorite drink and your glass of whiskey or whatever, and then you choose the one thing you are sure that you chose today. So take one action that you can for sure say, but this I chose. This was not a random happening, or it was not unconscious. I chose to do this. And then we start remembering what happened in that situation, and we start breaking down what led to that decision. So if I say, I saw a beautiful bird outside and I chose to take a picture of it, I go back to that moment and I will start seeing there was a recognition of a bird. There was an emotional reaction to seeing that bird, a positive emotional reaction, or a curious one, or whatever, that created another set of feelings and created thoughts of, oh, I want to preserve this memory, or I want to share this memory. And that thought created another set of thoughts and another set of feelings that reminded me, ooh, I can take a picture of it. That way I can preserve it or share it. And that thought led to another thought of, where is my phone or my camera? Which led to the action of looking for my phone. I pick up my phone and I go take a picture of this bird. And then you can ask, well, where did I actually make this decision? Because as we've been doing in the last meditations is seeing how we can't actually control thoughts. I can't say, I'm going to think of a pink elephant, the next thought is going to be of a pink elephant. And even if I manage to my next thought being of a pink elephant, where did the thought I'm going to think about and my next thought is going to be about a pink elephant come from? So when you trace your thoughts backwards and backwards and backwards, you see that they're arising from nothing or from another thought. And when you trace that thought back again, you will see, it arises from nonsense or from nothingness. And then you will start seeing that your thought, you are not thinking your thoughts, you're observing your thoughts. So if we do another example, would you like coffee or tea? What happens then, I get the question, coffee or tea? And then the next thought is, I want coffee. And then the next thought is, I choose coffee. So where we think that, coffee or tea, I want coffee, or I choose coffee, there's actually a step in between there where we already make up our minds, and then the thought I choose comes after the decision is made. And this is things we start observing when we get more subtle and when we get more and when it gets better at observing the pattern of the thoughts or how thoughts build upon one each other. So when you really sit down and meditate, you can start seeing your thoughts going, coffee, tea, coffee, I want coffee. And that's where you question, where did I choose coffee? Choosing coffee happened. And then I became aware of the choice, I want coffee. What this belief in free will does is that it gives us guilt, blame, and pride. Three of the main sufferings. The main sufferings are guilt, blame, pride, worry and anxiety, expectations and attachments to outcome. These three, guilt, blame, and pride, are built on our belief of personal doership, meaning free will. And these two, anxiety, worry and anxiety, and expectations and attachment to outcome, are built on the belief that you need pleasure to be happy. So these three sufferings will start falling away when you see past the illusion of free will, because then all of a sudden you know that the action you did that caused someone guilt, blame, pride, that caused someone pain, that someone else caused you pain, or that made you great, are not true. Because you didn't choose. The choice happened. You experienced it. And then in these other meditations, we start also digging into who's experiencing it. Who's experiencing thoughts, who's experiencing feelings, emotions, sensations, who's experiencing decisions. So guilt fall away because I did something that caused someone else pain, but I know through observing free will that I couldn't have done it otherwise, because the thought of let's say let's say I trip over someone on the street and I feel guilty about it because I caused someone pain, and it's a fair thing to feel sorry about, and there's nothing wrong, so to say, about feeling sorry about it and apologizing and mending things. But if I go back to that situation where I tripped on someone, I will see most likely, unless I'm a big asshole, that either I didn't see that person or I miscalculated my my distance to that person, or I was too slow in reacting. So when I become more subtle in my meditation, in my observation, I can see all the steps that led up to me tripping on this person. And I can see that in none of these steps, I was actually in control. I was blinded by the light. I stumbled upon a brick before, whatever. I was not in control of the light. I was not in control of the thoughts that happened of how I should walk. Those were thoughts happening, leading to actions happening that unfortunately led to the pain of someone else. I feel guilt. I feel blame because someone tripped on me, thinking this person could have done it differently. But when I see that in my actions, I couldn't have done it differently, blame will also start falling away because I know that that person couldn't have done it differently. That was up to their conditions, their situation, their genes, their thoughts, their whole being structure that led them to doing the action that they did. And the same goes for pride. It's more, pride might come as a surprise to many that it's a suffering. But when you start really getting subtle into pride, you will see that there's a sense of ego and ownership in pride that is a subtle form of suffering. It's the least suffering, so to say. But there is indeed a suffering in pride as well. And the pride as well is based on a thought that, ooh, I did this, I did something great. While in fact, what we see is, these thoughts, feelings, sensations, reactions happened, and I was actually not in control of any of them. And that is why we meditate, because when we meditate, we get subtle, we start observing the thoughts pattern, we start observing the sensation pattern, we see how thoughts affect emotions, sensations, how sensations affect emotions, how emotions affect sensations, and how this is just reaction on each other. It's a neural network of just reacting to each other. We start seeing that, oh, I'm actually not in control of my feelings. Many people who's been doing a lot of work see that, okay, they have a lot of feelings that make no sense to them. That feelings must be allowed to be what they are, and that they just have to deal with them. And the same goes for thoughts. And then it's seeing the connection. The thoughts affect the feelings affect the thoughts, and seeing you're not in control of any of them. And then going to the decision making. Where does the decision making happen? It happens after. It's a thought that comes after. Coffee, tea, coffee. I choose coffee. And these are things we start observing when we get subtle. So for you who joined the first 5-6 minutes, I described an exercise for trying to see through free will. So if you're curious, wind back afterwards. And with that, I think we do a 10 minutes meditation where we sit silently and try to observe the connection. So we feel our body, emotions, and thoughts, and see how they affect each other. So we try to be quiet, still, and then see what happens when a thought arises. How does that um, make the body react? How does it make the emotions react? How does these emotions make the brain react? Oh, I'm feeling a discomfort in my belly that leads to worrying thoughts. Oh, I feel pleasure in my heart that leads to another set of thoughts, and so on. So find a position where you are alert, comfortable and alert. And then taking some breaths, whatever you need to get into meditation mode. And then feeling your body as a solid unit, sitting however it is it's sitting. And already you will start noticing sensations. Maybe it's a painful position, leading to an emotional reaction, a desire to move, leading to a judging thought, leading to a sensation of contraction. Anything like that. See if you can see patterns of how one affects another. The mind is likely to judge a lot of things, either as positive or negative. So in this exercise, we're not controlling the mind, we're actually kind of letting it flow and see where it lands. Not drifting away with it, but seeing how it jumps around. It's the nature of the mind to jump, associate. I'll shut up now. Just trying to catch the whole process. Thoughts affecting sensations and emotions, emotions and sensations affecting thoughts and other sensations and emotions. Noticing how the mind is judging, evaluating, commenting on everything that's happening. That's what the mind does. If you wander off, just go back again, trying to include the body, noticing the sensations and emotions that's arising. Seeing how everything is a reaction to something else. Seeing again and again how the mind, how the attention is just ping-ponging between different things. One thought leads to another, there's actually no decision. The more we meditate, the easier this gets. Slowly starting to notice the surroundings as well. to sense the space around you, hearing, smelling, noticing how these are also just falling into your consciousness. Ah, there's a sound. There's a thought created around that sound. And there's a smell. Thought and a feeling created around that smell. Happening as a reaction. Mind will always judge. That's the work of the mind. Judging, interpreting, keeping you safe, calculating. Slowly coming back. Opening your eyes in your own pace. With that, concluding today's meditation. Thank you, Namaste.